Now, Michaels also made this comment, which got people talking. He compared current era NXT with the Attitude Era. Of course, that got a lot of people's undies in a bunch, but this is what he said. I feel like NXT has got a buzz right now, and I feel like we are the hottest thing going in the wrestling business. We have a fun show. Ours is the closest thing to the Attitude Era that you're going to get. And I know a lot of people want to roll their eyes at that, but we have had Wild West stuff going on, and there's always something new happening. It's very different. We have a number of different reasons for being in storylines. If you ask me, every other show out there, they all wrestle each other because they're all angry at each other. I'm angry at this guy. We're going to fight about it. If you watch NXT, there are different reasons and stakes on why people get into wrestling matches on our show. I'm very proud of our show and what we have accomplished over the last several months. That was the whole basis for the spark of the Attitude Era, is that everybody was angry at each other. Everybody was walking around all pissed off. Bret Hart was pissed off. Shawn Michaels was pissed off. Sid was pissed off. Undertaker was pissed off. Stone Cold, I mean, he walked around for his whole fucking run there pissed off. Everybody was upset with each other. Everybody wanted the championship. That's where I trace back the roots of the Attitude Era. And then, Russo filled in all the gaps and gave stories to everybody, and that's what it became in 98 and 99. But that was really the genesis of the Attitude Era. So now he is saying that NXT is the hottest thing going in the wrestling business. They've had this great infusion of main roster talent. So the numbers have been up. The numbers for NXT are elevated. Becky Lynch, a few weeks ago, they did over 1 million viewers for the overrun of the show, I think, where she wrestled Tiffany Stratton. So to that end, there is a buzz right now around NXT that wasn't there before, because you have the influence of people like her putting her on the show. We have NXT championships being defended on Raw and SmackDown, and Dominic up until this weekend had the North American title. So that's true. Now, is NXT the hottest thing going in the wrestling business? No. No, it is not. But I don't fault Shawn Michaels for saying that it is, right? Tony Khan goes out there every week and says AEW is the best. I wouldn't expect Tony Khan to go out there and say AEW is the second best. AEW is the third best. AEW is okay, but there's room for improvement. No, he goes out there and he is the biggest cheerleader for his brand that he can possibly be. That's what Shawn Michaels is for NXT. And every time I see Shawn Michaels in one of these videos, backstage, the talent comes to the back, he looks like a proud papa. I think he is very proud to be, the father right now of the NXT brand, and very proud of the work that they're putting in, as he should be. He should be proud of the work that he's doing. If not, then he's doing it wrong. I am not going to look at what he said here, though, and go after him too much or mock him or make fun of him and say, what's he been smoking? Is he back on the drugs? I'm not going to say that, because I get what he's saying. If you really look at what NXT is today, and you look at the Attitude Era had all kinds of just shenanigans going on, right? It was car crash TV. There was always some weird shit going on and stuff that today would get them thrown off the air, right? There'd be just stuff going on those shows that you just could not do today. You just couldn't get away with the language and some of the stuff, the raunchy stuff with the women, and it just wouldn't fly. NXT today is basically a sanitized version of that in many ways. They are the definition of let's throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. And there's no gimmick or story that's too goofy or too silly for them to run with. And that's okay when you're the developmental brand, because your whole, the whole point of it is to try new things and see what works and find out what doesn't. It's one of the things I appreciate about this Shawn Michaels version of NXT. They have NXT Deadline, for example. I think December 9th, I think, is the date. That's going to be their next pay-per-view, their next PLE. It's their last one of the year. Well, it was a year ago on that show that they had the Iron Survivor match. And it turned out to be really good, and I expect them to bring the Iron Survivor matches back this year, because I don't see why they wouldn't. That was an example of them trying something new, and it worked. And so they're gonna go with it. They may try out another match concept or another idea that doesn't work. And it fails, and it falls flat on its face, and guess what? They'll learn from it, and they won't do it again. It's like one giant petri dish. And they can try to create these things. Some will work out and some won't. So it borrows some of the aspects of the Attitude Era. The one glaring difference, though, to me is that, again, there's still this emphasis. It's not the black and gold. But even still, there is still this emphasis on the quality of the matches. And we saw it last night. You could look at Carmelo Hayes and Ilya Dragunov. It was a very physical match. But it was an excellent professional wrestling match. It was a war between two people. People are looking at it, they're going to grade it and judge it. Oh, the work rate was so great. That's not what the Attitude Era was. Nobody was talking about work rate or looking at these Attitude Era matches with these big names and thinking, oh, how was the work rate in that match? So that's one big difference between even the NXT of today and the Attitude Era back then. But you have everybody on the show getting some sort of story. And that's something that Vince Russo always tried to do. Not always with the best success, but when he was writing for Vince and he was, at the helm there during the Attitude Era, he was trying to give everybody a story. It didn't matter how big of a star they were or if you were the lowest guy on the totem pole there. Everyone had some sort of character. Everyone had some sort of story. That was one of the hallmarks of the Attitude Era. And that's one of the hallmarks of the way Shawn Michaels runs NXT. So he's not that off base. I know people are going to hear that and go, oh my God, what's wrong with Shawn Michaels? Again, give him a wellness check. But there are definite similarities between the way that he runs NXT and what he remembers from the Attitude Era. Trying new things, giving people stories, having these ridiculous skits and gimmicks. Some are going to work, some are not going to work. He's probably not wrong when he says that it's the closest thing you're going to get to an Attitude Era type of product. That doesn't mean he is saying that, hey, it's a modern day Attitude Era, but there are characteristics that the two share. So if you really break down what he said, it's not all that ridiculous.